Hear me out, hear me out. I know I'm wearing a Santa hat and I know I'm wearing these Christmas glasses because Halloween was only a couple days ago. But I saw Terrifier 3 again in theaters and I really wanted to talk about it because I actually liked it a little bit more than I watched it the first time. So let's talk about Terrifier 3 again. I honestly can't see that well out of these glasses, but they are cool.
I can't see fucking shit out of this thing.
If you like these kind of videos where I break down movies and give you my thoughts on them, make sure to like and subscribe for more of them. But anyways, let's get into this video. So yes, I went and saw Terrifier 3 again. Actually, I was very fortunate that I had a screening near me in which Damien Leon and David Howard Thornton, the guy that plays Art the Clown, was in attendance, and it was a live Q&A. And no, they didn't send me there for free. It was just a showing near my house, and I paid for the ticket because I thought that would make for some good content. And it was honestly really cool. Damien Leone, that's the way you pronounce his last name. Sorry, I mispronounced that a couple times. Damien Leone is a very down-to-earth guy and has, really great vision when it comes to these kind of movies. He has a very intricate way of talking about the way he goes about portraying violence on screen. Someone asked about if he would cut the line somewhere when it comes to violence, and he talked about the idea of killing kids in movies. And if you've seen Terrifier 3, you know that happens, but it doesn't really happen on screen. It happens off screen, and then just the makeup and prosthetics are just in the next shot. But he talked about how you have to go about that in a very specific way, and it is very morbid and disgusting, but they really try to give us because that's what these movies are. They are the most violent movies of all time. So they really are trying to stick to that, but not trying to be way too over the top. So I really do appreciate that. Sometimes he does draw a line to some certain things. But David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, was also there in attendance, and honestly, such a funny guy. You can really tell that he loves these movies. I mean, he was talking about how, when he's on set and he has to go into a scene of killing someone, it's just it's just his job. That's he's doing that, and it doesn't affect him mentally at all, which honestly, great. I'm glad that it doesn't affect him mentally. But a little fun teaser, not an official teaser, but David Howard Thornton talked about a role that he really wants to play in the future. Unfortunately, I didn't get this part of the live Q&A recorded, but he was talking about how someone in the audience brought up the fact that him playing Joker has kind of been floating around the internet. And he was like, yeah, that is the dream role, that he wants to play Joker. And honestly, he did a laugh in the theater, and it was a really good Joker laugh. So I think that would be awesome. Something that he also said is that he really wanted to do another adaptation of Harley Quinn, but he said that the person that he wanted to cast as Harley Quinn is Lauren Levera, who actually plays Sienna in the Terrifier movies. And I think that would be a pretty interesting cast too. I think she would do great. She's kind of becoming one of those iconic scream queens of the 21st century, so I think she would be great as Harley Quinn. But anyways, that was just a little something that I wanted to talk about because it was really fun, and it was great that a showing near me had a live Q&A. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to get any autographs or anything. I was gonna try to get stuff to send out to some of you guys, but I couldn't get that stuff. But anyways, let's talk about Terrifier 3 on my second watch. So Terrifier 3 takes place 5 years after Terrifier 2, in which Terrifier 2 ended with Art the Clown getting his head cut off. Sienna is now in an institution for psychologically tormented people, and after 5 years, she ends up being let out. And she goes back to her aunt and uncle's house where she meets up with her cousin again. Jonathan, her brother, is currently at college trying to just get through life and trying to forget everything that's happened because, of course, they have lost their mother, and in a really violent way. But when their lives are threatened again by Art the Clown, they have to come together again to try and figure out how the fuck they're gonna get rid of him. And now, Terrifier 3 takes place around Christmas time, as you can see. So if you watched my first review, you know that I wasn't too hot about it. I personally thought Terrifier 2 was a far superior movie, and I thought Terrifier 3 kind of jumped off the ledge a little bit as far as, cohesiveness goes with the story. But then I watched it again in theaters, and I forgot that I actually genuinely like these kind of movies. I like Art the Clown. I think his character is like pretty iconic in like the horror franchise and like the horror universe. I think Art the Clown is awesome, and that's how I started. When I was watching it again, I was starting to just remember those feelings that I had about these movies, about how I actually like Art the Clown as a character. And then I watched the movie with that mindset, and I actually genuinely enjoyed it. I still think the story lacks a bit more than Terrifier 2. I think Terrifier 2 still has a better and more interesting story, but on my rewatch of Terrifier 3, I genuinely was enjoying it and kind of understanding the story a bit more on emotional levels when it comes to characters. And I was enjoying the violence again. I actually was in the theater of my rewatch, the chainsaw scene, it was so loud. I can't even begin to express to you how loud that scene was. I don't have to cover my ears when watching movies, but oh my gosh, it hurt my ears. I don't know what kind of like Oppenheimer bomb theater I was in, but holy crap, it was so loud. That was scarier than the actual scene. And yes, the chainsaw scene is genuinely one of the most horrifying and disgusting and violent scenes ever put to screen. I still think the Terrifier 2 bedroom scene is far superior. I'm sorry. I genuinely think that scene is far more disgusting and disturbing. I think my favorite parts of Terrifier 3 have to be with Sienna and her sort of connection to her dad, and how we're getting more of that. The scenes in which when she was little and she was talking with her dad, and her dad was talking about how, you know, he drew up this costume and design for his daughter when she gets older. That scene was really emotional. And I'm not going to say it was emotional to the point where I shed a tear, because I didn't, but it was emotional on a writing standpoint and acting standpoint. I think it was really, really well done. I think the dad had a really honest performance, and I personally wanted to see more of the dad. I know the irony is like we're not supposed to see more of the dad because he's gone, but that scene was really, really good. And we got a scene of him like really like starting to crumple up the paper in his daughter's hand, because I think he was having like some sort of stroke. And it was really kind of scary. I mean, for anyone that has, I personally haven't, I'm only assuming that people that have been in situations like that in which they are in front of someone or they're with someone who's having a stroke, I think that a scene like that could really open up floodgates, because it was really well done as far as the sound design and the overall shot composition and the performances. I think it was really well done. And I think Damien Leone is really trying to make these movies a tad bit more emotional, or like on an emotional level than, you know, just being completely violent, and that is what these movies are. They are just complete violence. But it was a really powerful scene. And there's theories going around in which people are saying that Art the Clown is the dad. And I can't say that I agree or disagree with that. I think that would be a pretty interesting way of going around showing us why Art the Clown is so obsessed with Sienna. But it doesn't make sense, first on the standpoint that they don't look anything alike. But the way I was looking at it is that Sienna's dad somehow knew that when he died, like inevitably died, that he was going to be coming back as this demonic demon or entity. And he wouldn't be in the same body and he wouldn't look the same, but he couldn't tell like his daughter for some reason, but he was preparing her to be able to defeat Art the Clown, which also kind of doesn't make sense, because if the dad made the sword to take down Art the Clown, then she already would have, because she decapitated him with that sword in the second movie. But anyways, I think that's an interesting theory. I think it would be a little bit of a like kind of a head palmer as well. Like, really, that's who Art the Clown is, her dad. I like it. I think it would have that kind of effect. I think they would have to really, really, really sit down in the writer's room and figure out the best way of going about that, because it is an interesting theory. I just think it's one that's a little bit too overused and has the chance of being a shit show, but not a bad theory. I still want to see Terrifier 4 before coming up with any sort of theories, because Damien Leone had talked about Terrifier 4, and apparently he has plans for Terrifier 4 and 5, but it seems like it's going to end with Terrifier 4, and it's going to end on a big and exciting level, because he knows how the Terrifier stories are going to end. He knows what the ending is going to be. So I'm very intrigued for that. I think that gets me very excited, knowing that Damien Leone knows how his story ends, because it's always good to know how your story ends before starting it. Just a smart writing choice. I think that Damien Leone is very optimistic. I think that he is a very, very good prosthetics artist, because he does all like the prosthetics and he does the makeup for these movies, because, as an indie filmmaker, you kind of have to know how to do everything yourself, because you're not going to have, all the workers. And I think he edits the film, he directs it, he writes it, he does the not the costumes, but he does like the makeup and stuff. And I think that is awesome, and really, really connects him personally to the story, because these are his stories. I think he needs a little bit more writing. I think he needs to work a little bit more on the writing aspects of the movies. I think Terrifier 3, like I said, lacked a little bit in that realm, but these movies really are just supposed to be violent movies that you just go to see. I try to see all movies for what they really are, broken down. They have a script, they have acting, and I don't think a movie is just always just supposed to be one thing. I think if you have one movie that is centered around just one idea, it's kind of not, it just won't work in the grand scheme of things. It's everything culminating together to make something. You can't just have a movie of someone killing people and it being entertaining. You have to have a story to it. And I think Terrifier 3 has a story to it, just like how Terrifier 2 had a story to it. I just think Terrifier 2's story was better. Fast forwarding to the end of the movie, which is something that I really wanted to talk about, the ending of Terrifier 3 is great. I love the ending of Terrifier 3. I think that I thought that when I watched it the first time. I just didn't really think about it too hard. But on my rewatch of Terrifier 3, I was in the theater, and for some reason, and I don't know if this is what Damien Leone was going for as far as the overall emotions of the scene, but the ending was great. Sienna stabbed Art in the chest, and her cousin was getting dragged into this pit of hell. So she leaves Art the Clown, and then Art the Clown escapes, obviously. But the scene that the movie ends on is that Art the Clown is sitting outside at a bus stop to get picked up. And I don't know why, but something about how the shot was framed, it was snowing, Art the Clown looked defeated. Why did it make me feel bad for Art the Clown? There is no way that a movie like this made me feel bad for Art the Clown. Why did like Damien Leone? Are you like? Am I alone on this one? I genuinely felt for Art the Clown in that moment. But then it simultaneously went into the next scene in which he goes onto the bus, and this woman that's seated on the bus is reading this book called The Ninth Circle. I think that's what it's called, which is actually the first short film that he made for Art the Clown. So it was a nice connection to that, but it's also a callback to that short film, because the way the shots are framed, and it's about this woman, I think in like a laundromat in the short film, and then Art the Clown is sitting on the chair, played by a different actor than David Howard Thornton. But this scene in which Art the Clown is sitting on the bus, his eyes are closed, and the woman looks at him, and he's like covered in blood, and he opens his eyes, but his eyes, they're like beating white with black dots in the middle. And I think it might be the scariest shot of the movie, because Terrifier 3 is not a scary movie, really, in my opinion. It's just violent. I don't think that it's super, it's not really jump scary. It's just kind of loud and in your face, and doesn't really do a lot in the sense of creating a sense of like uneasiness when it comes to Art the Clown as a character. He's really kind of a goofball, and I think what David Howard Thornton has done with Art the Clown as a character is fabulous, and one of the most unique characters might be one of the most unique characters in cinematic history, just considering just how violent of a character he is, but just how silly he is, and just how like emotionless, but also has all the emotion in the world, and it's so amazing. But that brings me to that very last shot of the movie in which he's sitting on the bus, and he opens up his eyes, and he's staring her down, and it is genuinely so creepy. It's very creepy. And then he brings up his horn that he got from Terrifier 2 and honks it, and that's where the movie ends. There's definitely got to be some sort of like underlining like meaning to that scene, because it stood out to me like the most after watching the whole entire movie, because Art the Clown isn't someone that isn't something that understands the idea of stopping something that they're doing. Like, I don't think Art the Clown could ever think to themselves like, oh yeah, maybe this is like too much. But in that moment, it really felt like Art the Clown was defeated, even though he wasn't. It felt like somehow there was a connection between him and Sienna, and he felt defeated. But then automatically goes right back into honking his horn, because that is who Art the Clown is as a character. He is a goofball. He is always going to do something to scare whoever's in front of them. And that is just who Art the Clown is as a character. And I think that is fantastic. I love Art the Clown as a character. Terrifier 3 is a pretty okay movie. I still don't think that it's, great by any means. Like I said, I still think Terrifier 2 is a better movie all around, but Terrifier 3 is entertaining. It's very loud. It's in your face. It has some underlining messages. There's one in particular moment where it's the chainsaw scene again, and the girl that was in the shower, who inevitably got killed, was the podcaster who was really trying to milk the situation between Sienna and Jonathan about, their trauma, how they're coping with their trauma, and just instead of being, sympathetic towards them, they're being very just insensitive about the whole situation. And later in the movie, she even talks about, to her boyfriend that she wants to know what it's like to be in the presence of Art the Clown. And I think it was so awesome for Damien Leone to actually put her in the presence of Art the Clown and show her what it's like to be in the presence of Art the Clown. If you're in the presence of Art the Clown, you are most likely going to die in the most brutal way possible. And I think that was pretty damn cold and kind of a really cool just representation to just like those kind of people, because there are those kind of people out there that just feed off of people's trauma for their own gain, and for podcasts, for content creation, people love that. People feed off that stuff, and I think it was a really good you to those kind of people, because there are people that are like that and they suck. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about Terrifier 3 again because, like I said, I did enjoy this a lot more than I did in my first watch, and I'm not afraid to admit that kind of stuff. If I don't like a movie at first, but then I rewatch it and I like it, that's just how it is. I guess I just had to see the movie twice before I really, really, really enjoyed it. I'm very excited for Terrifier 4. There isn't any particular news as to where it is at as far as production, or what year it's going to come out, or what the story is going to be about. But I'm very excited to see where this story goes. I think the ending of Terrifier 3 was excellent. I think it was a very great way of ending Terrifier 3 and making me want more in Terrifier 4. It made me connect to Art the Clown, the character. I think connect is the wrong word, but it made me understand Art the Clown as the character. But yeah, I'm going to take these glasses off because I still can't see shit out of them. But anyways, that'll bring you to the end of this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of it, watching me talk about Terrifier 3 again. I hope you enjoyed my video movie analysis of this movie. I honestly could probably talk about it even longer, but that's just why I wanted to talk about it now. I hope you enjoyed the things I had to talk about the live Q&A with Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton. That's stuff to get pretty excited about and to think about as far as David Howard Thornton playing Joker in the future, potentially. I mean, I think that would be pretty cool. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I appreciate every single one of you. And remember, your movie moment is right around the corner. See you in the next video.